Okay, this is WapTech, and we're discussing Unreal Engine-based video games and editing yet again. Now, this is going to be a little bit of data for those of you out there that might not have this information about America's Army. The video game engine Unreal 2 engine comes in many varieties, many sizes, and shapes. The smallest version is around 12 to 13 megabytes and comes with the editor, the game engine, and some test maps to get you started, and it's designed to, quote, not be used to make a game. You have to make a deal with them first, etc. Later on, Unreal Engine 3 and subsequent versions came with the ability for you to make a game, and once you made a certain amount of money, then they would take their cut. Or you could just pay for the licensing to make a game with unlimited capabilities if you knew that you could make something that would make a profit. Now, one of the games, and really this is the only one I know of, that was made with Unreal Engine 2, that is a free download and is almost deliberately made impossible to look for when you deliberately look for it, is America's Army. If you're not aware of it, in the United States, if any government employees make something, it's automatically public domain so that it reduces the likelihood of a U.S. government employee or the government trying to profiteer using our tax money. Now, this has the unintended side effect of America's Army, a video game that was used for recruiting and also to give you an idea what it would be like to join the Army, and also, if you're not aware of it, being really useful to teach you a bunch of interesting things if you just want to go through it. It made it to where it had to be legally a $0 download. And also, because it was declared essentially, fair game for everybody, having a copy of it stuck on a server for you to be able to download so you can play the game cannot be restricted very easily. So here is the version that comes with the editor and with assets to play with. America's Army version 2.8, and then put in the word zip. There's two versions. One of them is a 3 gigabyte file to download that's a zip file, and then it balloons up to almost 4 gigs. The other one's 2 gigabyte download, and it's an exe. It contains an installer. Yes, you can tear apart the installer if you really want to take up less space, but we're going to be covering the big one I downloaded today because that's when I downloaded. Because it's a zip file, you can extract it to a directory on your hard drive, let's say C drive America's Army, or just AA, or whatever you want to, and when you run it, it automatically acts a lot like a portable application routine and just works out of box without any complaints. So here we are, and because of the peculiarity of Unreal Engine 2 defaulting to use one of the keyboard hotkeys I use for Cam Studio, you're seeing the Cam Studio box there. So here we are in America's Army Mission Editor, and it's AAEditor or whatever. And here we're looking at a level that's just simply called Mountain Pass. The default behavior, because they wanted it to have this as the default for all of the playback and work in it, is that you are not allowed to move if you just jump into a level. You get frozen in place, and basically the game engine is waiting for a trigger or instructions or permission from something so that you can play. This is made mostly because it's designed mostly to be an online-only game. How do we make it to where we can play these levels without being interfered with? View, level properties, level summary, and then here, single player start unlock. You unlock the player if they do a single player start. Obviously, if you gain access to the internet hookup and you're doing it through a server, which is what these are designed for, the single player unlock will still be there, and it may even leave you unlocked, but this allows you to play with the levels. Otherwise, you're not allowed to. In fact, if you make a brand new level that shouldn't be able to do any of these kind of restrictions, you'll have to manually set every level to always start single player unlock. Now I'm going to hit the play level, and we're going to see this go on in a few minutes. Waiting. This may take a while. I'm sorry. And hopefully it's recording. I don't know if it is. Oh, and it will give you error messages on that log screen. It's just, you're always going to get those if you're doing it this way. Because again, it's not being used as intended. And here we are in the level. And this is the view you would get if you opened up the mountain pass. And now I'm going to touch the mouse. And we're not locked in place. And I'm able to move forward. And I can look around and see behind me some crazy shit went down. But anyway, let's go off the reservation and or go AWOL. We can call this the AWOL mod. Now you can go around this thing all the way the hell over there. And if you have the editor, because you do with version 2.8, you can modify this to where you can traverse the whole level or add things to it, which is what I want to do. I want to play around with the game editor. I do not want to deal with the administrator style behavior in the game engine of preventing me from just playing. I'm not in the military. I'm not using this as a training facility kind of thing. I don't have an interest in that. And yes, there are blocking volumes and such built into the game level so that you can't go certain places, because to do so would defeat the purpose of this being kind of a training activity and a team building exercise thing. These are referred to as serious games or, well, other terms for it. But the point is, yes, propaganda. But anyway, you get, without having to put in any money or anything, you can get a hold of an Unreal-based game engine to play with to do things that are moderately cool looking. No, you cannot legally, well, not according to copyright restrictions. You're not allowed to use any of the assets in this, blah, 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 to make your own game. However, you can gain experience editing games and altering games as much as you wish. So here we are in the game editor, and it tends to default back to doing that. So just by editing the level, we gain access to manipulating the level. We just change the level status, and that's the pathway you take to get to here. Your goal is to get there while stuff is happening. And, yeah, that's the welcome to the Matrix. And then over here, we have the rest of the level that hasn't been exposed. You trim away things you don't need, but if you're using a reasonably new computer, if you don't have well, I have a computer as old as the game, so it'd probably crash. But if you want to, you can edit this sort of thing to do whatever you want to. I'm going to show you one of my favorite things to do. If I see terrain, I always open it up. Obviously, I'm going to mess with the terrain here. So we hit the terrain tool, move this disturbingly in the way thing out of the way, hit the visibility button. It defaults to being a pretty big coverage. I'm going to go over here, zoom out, and get up here, and I'm going to make part of the game level visible. Wait until you see a complete circle like that. Let me zoom in on what I'm doing here so you can see it. Make sure it's a complete circle. Hold down the control key, then left-click and move it around, and it'll force the game level to add in all of the terrain, even if it doesn't make sense. Great way to get psychedelic terrain. And this allows you to have surfaces you can walk on. Currently, if you go up here high enough, you fall through the map, and that sucks. And this will also add in all sorts of goofy things that don't make sense and really look stupid and unprofessional, exactly what I love doing. And allows you to do things like, walk the entire level without being able to fall through it, edit it, add in little caves, whatever you want to. I'm only going to do a dinky bit of editing because I want to make it to where I can walk the entire level or fly over it and see what it looks like in the game, which I will try to do in a minute. But yeah, that's where we start, is right there. And now we should see some differences, maybe major ones. Don't know. We'll see. Again, I don't like it when I have a part of the map I can't get to or can't see or am not allowed into. I want to point out in the game, there are these objects, these cubes, that are written up in this purple color here. They're called blocking volumes and other. Let's see if I can right-click. Player blocking volume properties, etc. I do not want them in here, but blocking volumes and anti-portals, which is what these things are, make it to where the game engine knows not to look through the terrain so it doesn't break the continuity. So a lot of these you're going to have to leave, some not. I'm going to totally add an ice rink in there. But anyway, I'll just go ahead and rebuild, see if it craps out. Anyway, Just thought I'd tell you, again, if you want to alter the levels and make it to where you can single player walk around in them instead of having this stupid default, very military style restriction, level properties, level summary, single player start unlocked, set to true, and you should be able to walk around the level and not have any restrictions or rules. Many of the levels are set up to where they don't have any orders. They have to inherit from starting it as a multiplayer game or from a previous level or from a selection menu of some kind. So they're totally waiting to be made into single-player campaigns that you can modify for your own purposes on your own computer. And we don't need to know what sort of anime donkey you put in there. Little TMI there. So yeah. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. And I'm going to sit in here and see if I can stick in gnomes. Bye.